Right.
So for those out there that don't know, Nate comes from a very, I would say, athletic family, right? Like
Yeah.
brothers play sports, brothers are professionals, himself, so on and so forth. So my question, like, how was that growing up, Nate? Like, all of you guys are successful, and it's funny because knowing you all these years, it's like, yeah, okay, I know Nate, and it's like, well, I got a little brother, I got another brother, oh, now
Yeah.
my brother-in-law, like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
how on game night in the family, everybody's kicking it. How does that work being all competitive athletes?
It was competitive, man. It really was. I had an older brother who played at the University of Washington, and then the older brother between me and him played at University of Minnesota, played with the Charlotte Bobcats for a couple of years, and he's now coaching with the Timberwolves. And then my younger brother, who was the most athletic, and I spoiled him like crazy. He went to Nevada, Reno, and then went overseas and played ball. And then my wife's little brother was Arizona State Player of the Year. He went to Indiana and played overseas. So athletics run deep. And, and my wife, of course, ran track. But, like, in the house growing up, like, it was every day was an argument or a fight or something competitive, Like, it was physical. My oldest brother, he used to torture us. And we used to be like, man, we hate you, man. But then as you get older, you realize, like, that made you tough. But it was real. Like, everything could be solved with the competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I love about, being in a household where the parents don't shy away from those awkward moments. I got 2 kids. Right now, they're 16 and 14, little Nate and Nehemiah. And I remember when they were young, they would get into it. And, like, my wife would be like, break it up. Or she'd go to jump in. And it'd be like a real dramatic scene in the movie. I'd be like, no, let him go. Figure it out. Let him figure this out. And then she'd be like, what? Like, so, but it'd be good, though, because you see some tears, some fighting, some swinging.
Right.
But at the end of it, like, they're going to come out of it, like, more competitive, more fiery, and more willing to not let that happen again. And what I kept emphasizing was the same thing that I learned when I was younger. I tell my kids what I learned in the household was, you can fight as much as you want in the house. But once you leave the house, like, we're a family, we're a union.
Right.
So, like, I don't care how mad you are with your brother. I don't care if y'all getting into something. I don't care if he got your drawers on that day and you want to beat him up. If he get into it with somebody outside these walls, we got to have each other's back. So,
right.
For me, like, growing up in a household, it really made me competitive. And it made me fearless when it came to competition. Like, stepping on the field next to Randy Moss, who at that time was the best receiver in the game. It wasn't even close. Like, I was like, all right, I might not be Randy, but I can hold my own. You crazy? I got something for you. Because I'm the third on the list. So, like, the third child always had to do the most, which is why I am the way I am now. Like, which is why I, like, do crazy stuff with my hair, and I talk the way I talk, and I write poetry, and I rap. And because I used to try to figure out all these different ways to express myself. So, like, now, like, if I'm in a room with a whole bunch of big dogs, I'm going to figure out a way to bark the loudest. That's just who I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember.
You say you started off your career playing with Randy Moss, and you ended your career playing with Calvin Johnson. What was that like, playing with Megatron?
Man, Randy, I thought to myself, he was the most athletic player I've ever played with because he was Olympic speed fast and he could hoop. Like, Randy could hoop. He had a whole Jordan court in his house. He used to get up there and cook dudes. And then I remember just being comfortable, like, man, I put up 1,000 yards next to the GOAT. Like, I'm good. 4 years later, I get signed to Detroit. I go to practice the first day after hearing rumors about Calvin Johnson and how big he is. And I played against him one time. And, like, I remember being in Seattle with the Seahawks, and the Detroit Lions came to us. This is a year before I became a free agent. And I'm cooking a game, and I'm talking crazy. I remember catching a ball, and I'm, like, right by the first down signal, and, like, linebackers and safeties is coming, and I'm looking at them, and, like, I could go down because I already got the first down, but I'm doing the first down. As I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I got the first. And I eat the hit, though. I eat it just because I was like, yeah, I got the boom. And I get up, I was like, it's still a first down. What's up? Right? So, like, after the game, I remember they coach was, and you really can't say this now, but I'm retired, so they can't do anything about it. But their coach was like, oh, yeah, Nate, what's up? I was like, look, I'm a free agent next year. Come get me. And they was like, huh? It was like Earl Thomas before Earl Thomas, like, literally walking around. But the funniest part about the game is I'm out there doing punt return, and they had just threw a long ball to Calvin on the sideline, and he got rocked by our safety. I think it was Ken Hamlin or somebody, or Jordan Babineau, smacked him on the sideline. And I went out there for punt return, so I'm running out there, and, like, Calvin just got hit. Boom! boom, like right here on my left. And I'm out there like getting my whole thing set up for punt return. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? You all right, big fella? And like, he was on the ground and he had got hit. So he's like still picking himself up off the ground. And no joke, say like you guys are me, like your eyesight is me. Like this was Calvin like this on the ground. He was like, oh, he's like, yeah, I'm good. And he got up and he's like this. He's like, yeah, I'm good, little fella. And like, hey, and I was like this. And I remember walking to the sideline just like a little kid. And I went to Deion Branch. I was like, hey, Deion, bro, you see how big Calvin is? And he was like, Deion was like, yeah, that's a big ass dude. And so that was my first time ever seeing him. And then I get to practice and I'm like, yo, this dude is nasty. And we got to the press conference and like, hey, man, happy to have you. Signed a new contract, blah, blah, blah. And then one reporter was like, hey, we had Charles Rogers, who passed away, rest in peace. We had Roy Williams. How does Calvin stack up? In minutes, Detroit has been striking out with receivers. Is he really legit? Is he a number one guy? And I was like, bro, are y'all watching the practice? Like this dude is about to take over the league. I was like, I'll put my career on it. He's the best receiver in the league this year. I guarantee it. And like 2 years later, he broke Jerry Rice's record for most yards in the season. So like playing with those two dudes was unreal because God hit them with the special stick. God was like, yo, hops, speed, height, big hands, versatility, toughness, strength. But like what made them different, especially Calvin, was that they took all that and they were like, I'm about to add on to it with work ethic, which was unbelievable to watch every day. Every day, this dude working like he was a free agent, like he was trying to make the team. Like we would have these summer like hangouts, get tipsy, get drunk at the crib, cook out, all that. And I remember walking to the facility and we're like, yo, we got to sweat this out in the morning on the day off. You know how every pro athletes do. The whole group of wide receivers walking to the sauna. Everybody walking to the sauna. Hey, what's up? Calvin go walk the other direction. I'm like, where you going? And this ain't like we like had a couple drinks. Like we dragging. And it's summer. You know, we ain't got no games. And like he walking the opposite direction. I'm like, yo, CJ, where you going? He's like, man, we said we about to sweat it out. I'm about to go hit this treadmill. I'm like, man, he different. He different.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. So with that, like, do you, from the start to finish of your career, would you change anything? Would you, add something or take something away? Would you do something different? Or are you happy with how your career started and how it ended?
I'm happy with what I got out of it because it created this hunger to be successful post-career. Now, with that said, would I change? Yeah, hell yeah, I would change something. I think the whole like, I won't change anything. It made me who I am. That's true to a certain extent. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't want to talk to young Nate and be like, bro, you know the millions you made? I can give you a cheat code to quadruple that. Like, it ain't even about football. Like, I do feel like if I would have took care of my body a little bit more, if I would have been deeply in love with the game so much, I was Kobe Bryant obsessed with the game, Michael Jordan obsessed with the game. If I would have been that obsessed with the game, I honestly believe I would have been a Hall of Famer, which sounds crazy, right? But like, I got injured almost every other year. Played 11 years. Teams kept picking me up. In bad years, I put up 800 yards. And that's with like missing 3 or 4 games. So like in a healthy year, I'm going to give you 1,000. I'm going to give you a rack easy. I could jump a 43-inch vertical. I could run a 4.4. I can catch the ball. I can play outside, inside. I can block my ass off. So like now that I look back, if I would have just like turned off everything, like I'm talking about the noise and been like, yo, for 10 years, bro, I'm talking about like obsessed with football, I would have easily been a Hall of Famer. That doesn't bother me as much as me telling myself, yo, you know that money you made? And I made some good money and I stacked good money away. Like I was one of those guys that I was a businessman early. But like I'm so fascinated with being an icon from a corporate standpoint. It's the reason why I launched 3 clothing lines and a restaurant, and I've been a financial advisor for a handful of, like, I'm more fascinated in and having a Hall of Fame business career than I am an athletic career. So would I change something? Yeah. I would talk to young 21-year-old Nate, be like, yo, listen, man, all that stuff you want to buy right now, just hold on for a decade. Give me a decade. Like all that money you want to waste right now, give me a decade. Them trips you want to take and make right now, I'll tell you how to make them, but also invest in the places you're going. So when you land, that's your property versus renting from somebody else. All them places that you go and you like to hit the resorts and be the man on the hotel walkway and people, hey, Mr. Burleson, I'll teach you how to build condos and actually own spaces that people rent from. I would have told that young Nate, like, man, yo, this is a vehicle for you to get to somewhere else. Like being in the NFL, being in professional sports, all it is just one thing to get to another. So yeah, would I change something? I would just change my approach. You know what I'm saying? Like I came up like a fat rat. I'm blessed and I'm thankful. I made some good money in the league and I was able to stack that, invest that, and double that. But what if I was able to quadruple that? It's a whole different conversation. So that's what I'm telling these young fellas.
Absolutely.
So you saying you telling these young fellas, do you have a mentorship?
I do have a mentorship program for guys that are in the league, guys that are transitioning out of the league, because that's the biggest thing, because guys don't usually know what to do after their professional sports career. I've been a financial advisor. I'm a partner in a firm that helps athletes invest their money. I was the first athlete, and immediately after I saw the success of what my financial advisor was helping me understand about investing, and then me learning myself about being able to market my brand, we kind of created this lane where we could help athletes invest their money properly. So yeah, it's a mentorship, but it's trifold. Years ago, I'm a big trademark guy. If I have an idea, I'm gonna trademark it. I'm gonna copyright it. I'm gonna make sure that I'm protected when it comes to my intellectual property. And like I realized like these athletes were leaving the game and they're like, yo, what network should I sign with? I'm like, oh, go sign with ESPN. That fits you. Or you should sign with NBC. Like, that's your speed. You should come to the NFL Network. Like, you know, we're creative that way. Another guy's like, yo, I want to start a clothing line. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got this connect overseas. I got this suit guy in Florida. And I realized, like, oh, damn, I don't launch 3 clothing lines. Another guy's like, yo, I want to work in music. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I recorded like 5 tracks as an artist for the NFL as an individual artist, not as a talent that's on TV. And I used to ghostwrite when I was playing under an alias. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'll hook you up with a couple of producers. What you want to do? You want to be behind the scenes in front of the mic? And then they're like, oh, I want to get in real estate. And I'm like, oh yeah, I bought a restaurant. And I did. So I would do this for like 5 years. And I would push these athletes and personalities to all these different places. And I would hand off people's careers. You know how it is. You hand off an athlete to an agent. He's getting a solid 10% of that dude's future earnings. Yep. And all they do is take me to a steak dinner. You know what I'm saying? An athlete leaves and he drops a record label or an album, and that producer who's eating off of it on iTunes, he might be like, oh, no, so let's go to the club and turn up. He pop a bottle with me. Now I realize, like, I'm not getting compensated properly. So I was like, if I have all the knowledge, I'm the one these guys are going to. And even when I send them off, they're still underneath the Nate Burleson umbrella.
Right.
Like, why am I giving away all of the goods? You know what I'm saying? So I created something called Watch, which is We Are the Culture House. And it was like, people say, I'll do it for the coach. I'll do it for the culture. Like, I've always done it for the culture. I've never hit somebody up and been like, yo, you need me? I'm doing it for bread. Holla, I need to check. Or if an athlete's like, yo, Nate, I need you to take care of me. I'm like, all right, well, here how much it costs. I've never done that. So I'm like, I've been for the culture. Now, how do I make that something that is sustainable? And I created an umbrella where people can live in a very comfortable space where we can empower. It's really what LeBron started doing, which is why I commend him, because he's like, yo, I'm about to create this umbrella company that really empowers the athlete.
Yeah, that is true. You know, it's funny, you know, that you said that.